All right, we're back on Play It Forward, everybody. Today we've got Chow Nguyen, filmmaker, writer, director. Chow, thanks for being on the show today.
Thank you for inviting me, and may I thanks Cha for recommending me to be on this show today.
That's right. Thank you, Chow. Chow Roke was the filmmaker who nominated you. And Chow, we're going to be talking about your film Mama's Son. Before we talk about it, can you introduce yourself, please, as a filmmaker and set up the film for us?
Okay, so my name is Châu, and I am a Vietnamese film director. So I do a lot of kind of films. I do commercials, I do documentaries, I also do fiction films. But most of my work are documentaries and videos project for LGBT campaign in Vietnam. There are a lot of my work that, and I have graduated film directing back in 2022 in Hanoi Academy of Theatre and Cinema, and now I'm pursuing my master degrees also in film directing.
Cool.
Uh, yeah.
Thank you. Thank you for that. And this film, Mama's Son, can you set that up for us in terms of the story?
So the film follows Quyyen's journey into her motherhood in Ho Chi Minh City, or the short name is Saigon. So for her, for Quyyen, becoming a mother is not just about raising a child, but also about her finding a lifelong companion to share life's moments. So the way I chose to tell the story was through family photos and intimate home videos. Through that, the films will retraces her longing, her instincts of embracing of motherhood, and the memories of her raising her son. And what may seem like a very universal story of motherhood, um, but some at the end of the film, I will reveal another story, which is Nguyen is a lesbian and her son has two mother, like a very natural stories. And yeah, it's a 20-minute short documentary that combining family footage, animations, and interview footage.
Mm, thank you. Yeah, I think that sets it up really well. And I think, the way the narrative kind of is structured, it starts off as in her life when she had the child, where she was at, and she seemed pretty isolated and alone, and she didn't have a lot of money or any money, and she was pretty scared, it sounds like. And then she had the child, and the child um really gave her a sense of hope, I think, and it was a portal into a new world. And it seemed like it also coincided. She's an artist, and it came in a way that it led to creativity or continuing creativity, exploring that creative journey. And her son was a part of it, and she named her son Sun, S-U-N. And so it was a bright, bright spot in her life. And the narrative talks about how much she enjoyed motherhood and the process and bonding with her child. And then it shifts a little bit, like you're saying, in terms of the nature of family and her status as a non-traditional, family. And the male partner was not in the picture. We don't know anything about that person other than that they weren't in love. And so she moved on, and she found a partner that she loves, and it happens to be a woman, and the son is fine with that. And the woman, her wife, is really bonded with the son as well. So it's a picture of a very happy family. And then the narrative really goes into talking about family. What does family mean? And the exploration of that. And she talks a little bit about that. So before we really go into, what I think is the meat of the movie is the nature of family. what does that mean? Irrespective of what it looks like, what does it feel like? What are the qualities that are universal? And before we discuss that, how did this subject matter come into being in your own life? How were you drawn to this subject matter? Why were you drawn to this subject matter? And where does it come from in you?
Okay, so thank you for the question. So this film was actually not a standalone film. It is a part of a project that we're promoting the discussion of same-sex marriage in Vietnam. Because back in so discussions on same-sex marriage in Vietnam has been on the table since the 2010s. Um, and back in 2014, we have lifted the ban uh, in the civil code that a man that now allow same-sex couple to get married, but their marriage is not still not recognized. So, which means that they can do the ceremony, the wedding, but their marriage is not recognized by law. So there is no legal protections for same-sex marriage families in Vietnam at all. um, and alongside, there are when talking about same-sex marriage, there is these argument circulating in the society that is, why do same-sex couple needs that kind of piece of paper that they can already, like just live together, because now the ban is lifted. So most of um most of the time, the discussion we want to create uh, in this campaign is to creating a new definition of family. That is, family is based on love, based on the wants and needs of a person, not based on what kind of call a piece of paper or gender of a person. But the piece of paper still matters, as you can see at the end of the film. There's just one sentence Gwen stated about how Sun sees marriage. Um, like, because each person will have a very personal reason. So we have a shared needs of paper. So, for example, we can have legal protection, for example, but each of us will have a very personal reason to want and need that paper as well. And recognition, not just the law, but also from family members as well. So, during the time of this campaign, I made this movie, and I just want to focus on, how people seeing family, and how can we show a story that, um, like, just a simple truth that every parent will love their children unconditionally, and families will be everywhere, uh, built upon love, commitment, and all kind of bonds that hold the members together. So just that, I want to build up a story like that.
Thank
And
you,
I,
Bao. Bao,
yeah,
one moment.
yeah,
I'm going to All right, we're back. Thank you, Val. I got that, in terms of that's sort of the practical and political and sort of humanitarian interest that you have as a person who cares about this topic. And the question is, why do you care about this topic? How does it relate to your own life?
yeah. So I identify myself as a transgender person. So normally, I receive this question a lot, that I supposed to care more about on the transgender law that will allow me to change my paper. So if I want to have my own family, I can, like, just like any heterosexual couple, just sign up for certificate marriage, because now I will have um my paper as a male person. However, I do care more about on the same-sex marriage law, because I think that it is a very long way for transgender community in Vietnam um, to get to the point that we don't need any kind of surgery or medical involved to be recognized on paper. So I think that on the way, I'm now 27 years old, and I do want to have my own family as soon as possible. Uh, when I get married, I will want to be recognized. So I don't think that I just pursuing one law, but I want to pursue both. So now, even if um, it is not just about me or transgender being recognized and can get married, but everyone can. So now, if I am not having any kind of surgery or medical um, treatment, I still can get married with the person I want. So that's why I care about the scene of same-sex marriage, because it is more, it can involve all communities, all people in the LGBT community, not just transgender. And so I do care about transgender law. Don't get me wrong, but I for this project I care more about the same-sex marriage law, because I feel that I can touch the sense of a family. Is what I'm looking for, and that's the kind of story I'm looking for. Yeah.
Mm. Thank you for sharing that. To me, what I hear is,
Mm.
as a human being, in any environment, and especially when we're exploring the context of family, but as a human being, not to feel the same as other human beings is in any context is unfair. And that alone, whatever the context is, whether it's gender, sexual identification, or sexual desire systems, whatever that is, whether it's our hair color, eye color, language, to be judged or treated as less than, um, is not the nature of a family, ultimately, right? And the topic that you're exploring with family, the woman comes to and she says it's a place where you can return and feel safe and accepted. And if that is the definition of community by extension, right? So if there's family, which is our local home, and then there's a community, which is our collection of homes next to each other, and then there's a global community, right? If we can extend family, this concept of family, to the global community, it by definition means acceptance. In reflection of that theme of family, what do you feel and see is the message of the movie for you?
Well, I think the message this of the movie for me is the love of parents, the love that remains in the family is something we shared internationally. It is not heterosexual or homosexual
Right,
or anything,
right.
it's not just a very cliche um sentence or definition or quote that we always say, that love has no gender, or love has it's not just love, it is something, because in Vietnam we have this word, in Vietnamese we have this word called thương. So thương is a very hard to explain concept. It is not just love, it is love and beyond. It is
Mm,
We have love, we have sympathy, we have um we want to take care for a person.
mm.
We sometimes in Vietnamese we even have a sentence that our parents even say, that when you live together for so long, you don't feel love anymore, but you still thương them, which
You
means that
do what?
you still thương. Thương is the Vietnamese word that I'm trying
Oh,
to
it's
explain.
beyond.
That
Uh-huh.
yeah, so still thương them, which means that you still have feeling that you want to take care for them, you have sympathy for them, something like that. So the concept, the message of the movie is not just love, but love and beyond. And in Vietnamese, I can very easily say that it is not love, it is thương. Yeah.
Mm. Well, that's awesome. Thank you for that. And
Mm.
the beyond is, I think, really important because it's not cliche in the sense of like the thinking about love as a formless quality. There is no form to love. And it is a quality that is in what we do. It's in our actions, it's in our thoughts, it's in our hearts, it's in our minds. So that quality and extending that quality and cultivating that quality is what shapes the nature of our reality. So when we talk about that and this idea of what you're trying to express with beyond, um, I guess my question is, well, beyond what? Is it formlessness? Is it divinity? What is that nature?
So the nature of, like the beyond I'm talking about is not just, like higher than love, but is, I think, is in every dimension, bigger, higher, spread, wider, some sort of like that. Sometimes it is a very simple act that you can do for one person, and sometimes it's about the connection between the persons, the people. So, for example, in the movie, um, the reason why I chose animation as one of the expression, as one of the way that I tell the story is because, um, among the characters I have interviewed before Quyên. So I interviewed around like 30 families in Vietnam, LGBT families in Vietnam, at the time, to choose, and eventually chose Quyên and her son because I felt that connection between them. So the connection between Quyên and son is very interesting because they're not living together. Quyên is living in Ho Chi Minh City, and her son is still living in the countryside with his grandmother, with Quyân's mother, but they still connected. They have a very special way to connect through the paintings. So they talk through their paintings. Quyên, you remember the beginning of the film
Yes,
when Quyên talk about her painting when she draw a person, and
yes,
Sun drew a place,
a circle.
circle to jump through his place. So I think the way that they try to
Mm,
connect together, and they try
mm,
to um to communicate, to be always
mm.
together, is important. And that is one of the very interesting thing. When we are in a family, we are not with them always, but we still can feel love and we still can be connected. And that is always why I briefed to the animation team that I want to use the same, um like the same figure that Quyên and her son drew, and the same kind of drawing style that Quyên and her son used when they draw together to draw the animation artwork in the film. So everything can be connected the same way that they are connected together.
Chow, how do we as human beings
Hmm.
cultivate that in ourselves? How do we cultivate love and going beyond?
I think it's a straight question. Um, can you like define, like help me understand the question better? Like
Oh,
what?
sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. So cultivate,
Mm,
like a garden, make things
mm.
grow. So in a world where oftentimes we feel hostility towards one another, we feel our opinion is right, their opinion is wrong. Um, they're doing good, we do bad, they do good, we do, or my my question is how do we cultivate the quality in us, whether it's in our family, in our community, or in our global world, to care for each other and to feel connected as humans?
I think we all compromise, like, um I just think that we have to want to care first, then we will compromise our opinion, our quality, um, as long as we still want to be with the person, then we will figure out the way. I think it's hard to really define that, like a how for everyone, but I think you have to want it first.
Yeah,
And as long as we want to be connected, we want to stay together, it will work in a way.
I love
But
that.
sometimes, yeah, sometimes it's not work, but uh
I
yeah.
think I'm hearing it's what are our values? What are our priorities? Do we want to be right or do we want
Yeah,
to let love win? Um,
yeah.
Chow, since making the film, embracing that story, going through the process, putting it together, your own life, and where you are at in your life, in relation to feeling accepted in the community, not feeling accepted in the community, wherever that may be, and how that may change for you in the context of this movie, within the context of the idea of love, the nature of love, the themes of family. Since making this film, what have you learned about yourself?
Well, making this movie, I do learn a lot, but not just from Gwen and her son, but from the whole process actually, because as I said, I've interviewed around like 30 families across Vietnam. So I've learned that it first of all, I've learned that it is actually very privileged to be accepted in the community. Um, Whenever someone asks me what is the opinion of like general opinion about LGBT or same-sex marriage in Vietnam, I always say that it is actually very neutral, which means that there is no very conservative idea that can, like destroyed a person physically. Like there's no violence on the street, for example, for a person being LGBT. However, going to listen to their story, I realized that it's not just that simple. I've heard a father, a gay father, uh, not telling his son that he is his son's father, but he claimed himself as the uncle and let her sister be the mother of his son because he doesn't want his son to be bullied. Or I've heard about a lesbian mother trying to have um, a baby, but she got miscarried all the time because around her there are so many people discriminated and hatred the fact that she's a lesbian and trying to have a baby alone, and she's not even supported by her own partner, the same-sex partner that she has, but she just want to have a child. So I realized that what everyone shared is the want and need of somebody being with us. Most of us don't want to be alone. I have to say most of it because maybe I have not met everyone, So most of us don't want to be alone. So we want a partner, we want a child, we want a family. That is something that we all share. Most of us shared. Um, but sometimes it is hard, and being able to have that and want that and is actually a real privilege. And we have so many people out there want to be heard, want to be shared, want to share their own story. And that is why we all have, um, like we all need to create some kind of space for those stories to be shared. And I can make this movie is actually a very lucky thing that I have. I can share people's story. There's something a lot of people still cannot. So yeah,
Mm.
I think I've learned a lot about the want and need of a person of not being alone, and the want and need of building a family.
And so it sounds like just reflecting on the beauty and the privilege and the joy of having the desire
Mm,
to
yeah.
be with
Oh, and one
others.
more thing.
Mm.
Yeah, and one more thing. Um, a very interesting thing is there is this sentence that I heard most everyone say, that you only understand if you have children. Quote. So our parents at home when we were kid and we ask why this and why that, and they always say that when you are parents, you will understand. And I keep hearing that in the interview that I think maybe you have to be a parent to understand this, you have to be a parent to understand that. And I'm not a parent, so I don't really understand. But I can see um the similarities, that if you are being a parent, there's some kind of devotion that you will make for your child, that I can see in my parents, that I can see in my friends who are now parents, that I can see in the parents that I've met along the way. And I can see that the concept of love and family is something traditional. So no matter how LGBT is a untraditional concept that everyone
Right.
taught, but the want and need of having a family is something very traditional, then we can use that to spread the message.
Well, see that brings it home to
Yeah.
me, and it makes what you said earlier clear. I think it's the privilege of devotion. Devotion
Yeah.
itself is a privilege, and that's a lovely way of thinking and feeling into it. So may that devotion spread in all of our hearts. Chow Win, thank you so much for being on the show today. Everybody, thanks for watching Play It Forward. Till next time, Chow Win, filmmaker,
Thank you.
director. Bye.
Thank you, everyone. Bye bye.